We played Farever for 15 hours, checked out all the classes, and saw what the game had to offer. This is what I think to be an indie MMORPG in development. It might be more small scale, like 100 people per server. I'll go into all the details and what we've learned though. This is not available yet. You can go and request access on Steam. Leave me a like if you can, and subscribe for indie MMORPG content. It's all we cover on this channel. We also have a Discord server, over 1,000 on there, indie MMORPG themed, if you want to keep up with the latest developing indie MMOs. Starting off, we have our traditional MMO classes. We have our warrior, rogue, priest, and mage. We leveled all of them up to pretty much max and tried out a bunch of different weapons. The good news is you are not stuck with your traditional skills or class gear that you're used to in other MMOs. I believe you gain health when you level up, your skills themselves level up, and those are attached to your weapons that you have equipped, and then you also unlock skills for your class itself. Your class skills are on the right side, and your equipped skills are on the left side. So you could think like Guild Wars or even Albion if you want. There's also the arsenal system you unlock relatively quickly that gives you access to equipping a secondary weapon where you can use one skill or one passive from that weapon. They also have masteries that unlock. They're basically just variants of your base skills. We're limited to level 9 in this playtest, so as the game opens up further and further, we'll have more variety with our class builds. Now let's move on to gear. This is the fun part of the game. First off, gear changes how you look. Every piece of gear has its own art, and the game is action combat, so your weapon choices are pretty important. Gear and weapons are tied to classes, however, there is overlap. So for example, I made a priest. I wanted to be able to heal, however, I didn't want to be squishy. I noticed when I was leveling up my warrior, I was finding warrior gear that was also equipable by priests, so I saved that gear, leveled up my priest, and equipped them as I was able to. That gear is a lot more tanky, and that is just my playstyle, so I went with that. You can also wear strictly priest gear, which gives more heals and more magic damage. I found a sword and shield that was priest or warrior equipable, so I went with that. Your first skill on your hotbar is your one-handed weapon, and your second skill is from your shield. If you are using a two-handed weapon or dual weapons, the first two skills are from that. Your third skill comes from the arsenal system. I mentioned this earlier. You can slot another weapon into your arsenal system and pick either an active or a passive skill to be slotted in there. So my priest, I use a sword and a shield. I have defensive capabilities. I have a decent AoE attack, and then I can also equip my priest staff to use an AoE heal on the party, or I can use the other weapon I found, which summons a little totem that heals the party. So you have a decent variety of ways just to build your character from gear that you find. As far as the world goes, it is a shared world hosted by the devs. You cannot host your own server. The dev mentioned how the servers work as an MMORPG style, so whatever that means. But I'm thinking it's going to be a channel system because I don't think the world can host a ton of people. There aren't enough mobs. But when I played the first day, there was like 20 or 30 of us running around. Felt really like an MMO. Everyone was fighting on the beach. It was super cute, and it was a lot of fun. People were grouping up to fight the little elite mobs, and I'm sure people were hopping into the dungeons and so on. But I don't think the world itself can have a ton of people running around. You could have maybe 3 or 4 people fighting in the same spot, fighting the same mobs, but you can't have 20 people training in one area. It just doesn't work. The game is broken up into different zones. We have only the first zone. I'm not sure how that's going to work exactly. We'll find out more in the future. There are regular chests for gear, and sometimes they give experience if they have a little challenge attached to them, but the purple chests are better. They always give gear and experience. All of these chests are tied to your character specifically, so you can hunt all the chests on multiple characters. I mentioned earlier, but there are elites for every little spot that there is a group of mobs basically. So if there are a bunch of slimes in one area, you'll most likely find a giant slime, or if you're fighting in the skunk area, you'll probably find the big skunk boss. They're not super hard, but you can get gear from them once in a while. There are also a couple of dungeons in the game. I soloed all these on every single one of my characters in every single class. I kind of got pretty decent at the action combat in this game, and I knew what to do, so it was a bit easy for me. Again, this is the first zone, so this game isn't super hard just yet. They recently did a little update. They added dueling into the game, some new gear, and they added the first harder boss. This is instanced, and it has a little damage check in game and a couple of different attacks. Overall fun, and it drops some really good loot. All the best loot pretty much comes from chests and the dungeons in the game currently. You can do crafting. We'll get into that in just a little bit. As far as gaining experience in this game, you don't have to farm mobs non-stop. They do have a codec system in game. You can fight each mob 8 times, and you get a nice experience boost, and it shows you what they drop. If you find an elite boss boss. Also, if you take it out one time, you'll get a nice experience boost. Party members do contribute to your codec, so you can progress pretty fast if you are in a party. Some chests and all the purple chests do give you experience, so you can go out and explore and find stuff, and the dungeons always give you plenty of experience as well. Outside of combat, you do have skill options. You can only choose one, however, so this also makes me believe that this is going to be an MMO. Currently in game, there's blacksmithing used for heavy armor. Didn't give me any weapon recipes yet, but I have found some armor recipes, and you do unlock some as you level up in whatever craft you're working on. I chose to forget blacksmithing so I could look at these other crafts, and it wiped my blacksmithing, so not sure why they're thinking that. Maybe they really want you to lock into one and work with other players. The dev did mention in the trailer how you can craft just to make money to sell to other players. Also a reason why I think this is probably going to be an MMO, and there might be some kind of auction house or something. You do need a pickaxe for mining if you're getting into blacksmithing. We also have outfitting. This is basically tailoring, lightweight gear. You use leather and linen that drop from mobs. You don't have to go and gather cotton or anything. It's pretty much purely from mobs. There's also jewelry crafting. It's used for making accessories. These give you just little stat boosts. They're equips. You need a pickaxe for mining to level that up and to craft. They also have alchemy. This is a skill where you're gonna need a sickle for gathering. You go and collect herbs and you can craft potions. The potions do offer a 1-hour stat boost. They're not super necessary, but they just give you a minor little boost. Definitely good if you want to optimize your playthrough. You can also get into cooking. The ingredients are just from mob drops. They give massive stat boosts for 15 minutes, so this is probably good for dungeons or if you're grinding or trying to fight a certain boss. But that's about all I really can think of. They recently added the dueling and the world boss as well as mounts. Overall, it's still an alpha. It's unoptimized, but the combat feels really good. I played for 15 hours. I leveled up every single class. That is not something I normally do. I'm not even bored. I could keep playing, but I've kind of ran out of things to do. I've done just about everything. We're stuck at level 9, and there aren't a whole lot of people in the playtest, so hopefully they open it up. I want to see 100 people running around. I want to see what it feels like. I want to see if it's hard to level up our character, if it's hard to grind. But it would be nice to run dungeons with the subs, to fight the crab boss with the subs. I think it'd be a heck of a lot of fun. They have a Discord server. The dev isn't super active on there. They have made a bunch of other games. The developer is Shiro Games. The biggest game I recognize is a game called War Tales. I played that. It was really high quality. I think it's on Xbox Game Pass, but it was pretty cool. But let me know what you all think in the comments. Hopefully this isn't a terribly long video. Leave me a like if you can, and subscribe for indie MMORPG content. Again, this is speculation, but clearly it's going to be some form of like MMO light, or I don't know what people want to call them anymore, but it's definitely more than 4 players, 10 players, 64 players even. I think they're going to have some kind of channel system. This game is very kind of anime-like, so I think they're going to go that kind of old school route. But definitely subscribe for indie MMORPG content. It's all we cover on here. Feel free to check out our other videos. If you are into indie MMOs, join our Discord server. We have over 1,000 on there, indie MMORPG themed. It's where I share any info that we find on any upcoming developing indie MMOs. Thanks everyone for hanging out on stream. We streamed this a bunch. We had a lot of fun. If you're into streams, if you want to check out indie MMOs that we are discovering, or if you just want to hop into games with us, check out the streams. We stream Monday, Wednesday, Friday. We have a lot of fun on there. That's all from me. Thanks for stopping by, and until next time, I will see you in game.